Chapter 1. The luxurious Wilson family villa is brightly lit. Tonight is the birthday banquet of the 70-year-old Mrs. Wilson, the head of the Wilson family. Many grandchildren, granddaughters, and grandsons-in-law gave gifts. Grandma, I heard that you love tea. This century-old PUOT brick is worth 500,000 and is a birthday gift for you. Grandma, I heard that you believe in Buddha. This jade Buddha is carved from Hachian jade and is worth 700,000. Old Mrs. Wilson looked at the various gifts and laughed, making the whole family happy. At this moment, Mrs. Wilson's eldest grandson-in-law, Charlie, suddenly said, "Grandma, can you lend me $1 million? Aunt Lena from the orphanage has uremia and needs money for treatment." The entire Wilson family was shocked. Everyone looked at Charlie with incredible eyes. This live-in son-in-law is too courageous, right? The Lady Wilson was over her birthday. Not only did he not prepare any gifts, he even dared to open his mouth and ask the Lady Wilson to borrow $1 million. 3 years ago, the surviving Mr. Wilson don't know from where found Charlie and insisted on marrying his eldest granddaughter Claire Wilson to him. At that time, Charlie was penniless, just like a beggar, same as now. After the two got married, the old master passed away. Since then, the Wilson family has been deliberately trying to drive him away. It's just that Charlie is indifferent and is not moved by other people's insults, so he has always been a live-in son-in-law in the Wilson family. It is also helpless to ask the Lady Wilson to borrow money today. Aunt Lena from the orphanage where he was taken in and saved had uremia. Dialysis and kidney transplantation required at least $1 million. He really had no choice but to speak to the Lady Wilson. He felt that today is the Lady Wilson's birthday, and then she may be kind and willing to help when she is happy. Unexpectedly, the old Mrs. Wilson was still laughing for a second, and she immediately pulled her face down this second. She threw the teacup in her hand to the ground and shouted angrily, "Start thing, you are here to celebrate my birthday or to borrow money?" Charlie's wife, Claire, hurried forward and explained to the Lady Wilson, "Grandma, Charlie is ignorant, don't be surprised." With that said, she was about to pull Charlie aside. At this time, Claire's cousin, Wendy, sneered and said, "Sister, look at what kind of rubbish your marriage is. Gerald and I were just engaged and not yet married, so Gerald gave Grandma a Hachian jade Buddha. It's good for your husband, he didn't bring any gifts, and he still have the face to ask Grandma to borrow money." "That's right, Brother Charlie, we are both grandsons-in-law of the Wilson family. You, as the eldest grandson-in-law, are really a failure." The man who spoke was Wendy's fiancé, Gerald, the young master of a large local family. Although Gerald was about to marry Wendy, in his mind, Wendy's appearance was 1,000 miles away from Charlie's wife Claire. Claire was a well-known goddess in Aurus Hill, but seeing the goddess marrying this worthless man and a waste of money, Gerald was also very upset. "This kind of garbage, it's best to get him out of our Wilson family as soon as possible." Yes. The Wilson family's face has completely lost this guy. I think it is fake that he borrowed money, and his interest in deliberately sweeping the birthday feast of the Lady Wilson is true. Charlie couldn't help clenching his fists when he saw that the entire Wilson family was targeting and insulting him. Had it not been for the medical expenses of the savior, he would have turned around and left this place of fake extravaganza and pomp. However, thinking of his father's teachings to him since he was a child, letting his kindness of dripping water and retribution to the spring, he tried to suppress the humiliation in his heart, and said to the old Mrs. Wilson, "Grandma, saving a life is better than building a 7th-level Buddha. Please be merciful." Someone snorted coldly and cursed, "Wade, you don't want to give Grandma ecstasy here. If you want to have someone, you can find a way by yourself and don't let your grandma pay to help you save people." "What are you?" It was Wendy's brother, Harold. The brothers and sisters have always had great opinions on Claire, who is superior to them in all aspects, so they like to seize the opportunity to mock Charlie the most. Claire on the side looked a little embarrassed and said, "Grandma, Charlie lost his father when he was 8 years old. Aunt Lena from the orphanage brought him up. He wanted to repay his gratitude because of a grateful heart. Please help him." Old Mrs. Wilson said with a dark face, "Let me help him?" Okay, unless you divorce him and then marry Mr. Jones. If you do, I will immediately give him 1 million. The Lady Wilson was talking about Wendell, who had been pursuing Claire. The Jones family was an upper-class family in Orris Hill, much more powerful than the Wilson family, and the Lady Wilson always wanted to curry favor. At this time, the housekeeper ran in and said loudly, "Mr. Jones sent someone with a birthday gift. A carved jade amulet from Lacking is worth 3 million. Mrs. Wilson was overjoyed and blurted out, "Bring it quickly, let me see." The butler immediately handed over an emerald green jade amulet, and everyone present let out a breath of surprise. This jade amulet is emerald green, crystal clear, without a trace of impurities, and looks like a first-class genuine product. Gerald, who had sent the Hachian jade Buddha, saw this jade amulet, and his face was a little bit awkward. Unexpectedly, Wendell had nothing to do with the Wilson family, and his shot was so generous. Old Mrs. Wilson happily played with jade amulets and said merrily, "Oh, Mr. Jones is really interested. Only if he could be my grandson-in-law, I would really wake up in my dreams." After that, she looked up at Claire. "How about my condition? Would you like to consider it?" Claire shook her head. "Grandma, I will not divorce Charlie." Mrs. Wilson's expression instantly turned into a haze, and she angrily cursed, "Don't give me your face. You must hang on this rubbish. Let this rubbish get out of my face. My birthday banquet, he is not allowed to participate." Charlie was completely disappointed, and he had no face to stay in the Wilson family at this time, so he said to Claire, "Claire, I will go to the hospital to see Aunt Lena." Claire hurriedly said, "Then I will be with you." Old Mrs. Wilson cursed at this moment, "If you leave too, I won't have you as granddaughter in the future. You take your parents and your mother, and get out of Wilson's house with this waste." Claire looked startled, and she didn't expect the Lady Wilson to say such harsh words. Charlie said hurriedly, "You stay, don't worry about me." With that said, before Claire recovered, he turned around and walked out. Harold laughed behind him. "Oh, my good brother-in-law, you left hungry and won't go to the streets to beg for dinner? In that case, our Wilson family's face will not let you lose all of it. I still have it. For a coin, you can buy a steamed bun to eat." Harold said, took out a coin and threw it at Charlie's feet. The entire Wilson family burst into laughter. Charlie gritted his teeth and left the Wilson family without looking back. When he rushed to the hospital, Charlie immediately went to the payment office, wanting to communicate with the hospital and to inform them that the medical expenses would be delayed for another 2 days. However, when he asked the nurse, he was suddenly told that Aunt Lena had been sent to the best hospital in Eastcliff overnight. Charlie was shocked and hurriedly asked her, "How much does it cost?" "I'll find a way." The other party said, "A total of 3 million is needed. 1 million has been paid, and there is still a gap of 2 million. It will be paid in a week." "Who paid this million?" The other party shook her head. "I don't know either." Charlie was surprised and was about to figure it out. When he turned his head, a man in a black suit with grey hair, about 50 years old, was standing behind him. With eyes facing each other, the man bowed to him and said, "Young master, you have suffered for so many years." Charlie frowned, as if his temperament had changed, and asked coldly, "Are you Stephen Thompson?" The other party said in surprise, "Mr. Wade, you still remember me?" Charlie's expression froze, and he murmured, "Of course I remember. I remember every one of you. Back then, you forced my parents to take me out of Eastcliff and escape all the way. During this time, my parents died unexpectedly. I have also become an orphan, so why are you looking for me now?" Stephen Thompson said very painfully, "Young master, when your father passed away, old Master Wade was also extremely sad. He has been looking for you for so many years. Now that it is all right, he wants you to come back to him with me." Charlie said coldly, "You can go, I will never see him in my life." Stephen Thompson said, "Young master, do you still blame Master Wade?" "Of course." Charlie said word by word, "I will never forgive him in my life." Hey, Stephen Thompson sighed and said, "Before I came, Master Wade said you might not forgive him. That means he has self-knowledge." Stephen Thompson said, "Old Mr. Wade knows that you have suffered over the years. He wants to compensate you a little. If you don't want to go back, he will buy the largest company in Ores Hill and give it to you. In addition, he has asked me to give you this card. The password is your birthday." With that, Stephen Thompson handed over a Citibank premium card. "Mr. Wade, there are only 5 such cards in the country." Charlie shook his head and said, "Take it away, I don't want it." Stephen Thompson said, "Mr. Wade, for your savior, you still have a shortfall of $2 million in medical expenses. If you fail to pay, her life may be in danger." Charlie frowned. "You deliberately fix me?" Stephen Thompson hurriedly said, "I don't dare to. If you accept this card, it will be enough to pay the money." Charlie asked, "How much money is in this card?" Mr. said, "This card is for you as a little pocket money, not much, a total of 10 billion. Chapter 2. 10 billion. Charlie was stunned. He knew that his grandfather's family was rich, but at that time he was young and had no idea about money. He only knew that the Wade family was one of the top families in East Cliff and in the country. But he didn't know exactly how much money it had. But at this moment, he knew it. 10 billion is just pocket money, and when it is about the entire Wade family, he is afraid it will be more than 1 trillion. To be honest, at this moment, he was deeply moved in his heart. But thinking of the death of his parents, Grandpa couldn't shirk the blame, and he couldn't forgive him. Stephen Thompson saw his entanglement and hurriedly said, "Master, you are the heir of Wade family. You deserve this money, and strictly speaking, it belongs to your father." Master said, "If you are willing to go back, you will inherit the trillions of family properties. If you don't want to go back, this money will be given as your living expenses." Oh yes, Ores Hill's largest enterprise, the Emgrand Group with a market value of 100 billion, was wholly owned by Yejia yesterday. Now all the shares are in your name, you can go to Emgrand Group for the handover by tomorrow. Charlie was a little unbelievable. Wade family's investment is too big for him to handle, right? 10 billion premium cards, 100 billion Emgrand Group. Although Ores Hill hides the dragon and crouching tiger, the only true god is the Emgrand Group. Any family must bow to their knees in front of the Emgrand Group. It is the emperor of Ores Hill's business field. Even the Wilson family and White family who humiliated him today, as well as the Jones family who pursue Claire, are all small in front of the Emgrand Group. Unexpectedly, it turns out to be his own now. At this time, Stephen Thompson handed him a business card and said, "Mr. Wade, you may need to calm down and think about it. I won't bother you anymore. This is my phone number. Please tell me if you have anything to do." After speaking, Stephen Thompson turned and left. After he left, Charlie was still in a daze. He didn't know whether he should accept Wade family's compensation. But, thinking about it carefully, the humiliation that he has experienced over the past 10 years, and the humiliation he has been given in the Wilson family, these are the compensations given to him by the Wade family. Why doesn't he take it? Moreover, Aunt Lena's medical expenses still need 2 million, and it is urgent. Thinking of this, he gritted his teeth and immediately turned back to the toll office. "Hello, I want to deposit the 2 million. Swipe the card, enter the password, the transaction is successful." 2 million was easily credited to the hospital's account. Charlie felt like the whole person was in the mist. Has he become a billionaire? Going home in a muddled manner. The family had fallen out at this time. Claire and her parents did not live in Wilson's villa, but a very ordinary building. They have been driven out since Claire married him and old Mr. Wilson died. His mother-in-law was yelling at home, "Charlie, that rubbish. Let us lose face today. If you don't divorce him, your grandmother will drive you out of the Wilson Group." Claire said, "I'll find another job when I get out." "You," said mother-in-law angrily, "what's so good about that rubbish? Why can't you divorce him and then marry Wendell? If you marry Wendell, our family can be proud." The father-in-law also said to the side, "Yes. Marry Wendell, our family will become a treasure immediately in front of your grandma, and your grandma will rush to curry favor with you every day." Claire said, "Don't say anything, I won't divorce Charlie." "You kid." The two had to persuade Charlie to push in. When they saw him, his father-in-law and mother-in-law didn't look good. The mother-in-law snorted coldly, "A rubbish, and a face to bear it all." Charlie sighed inwardly. His mother-in-law has always looked down upon him, but if he were to let her know that he is now the boss of the Emgrand Group and has 10 billion in cash, what would she be like? However, Charlie is not yet ready to let people know his identity. He has been away from the Wade family for many years. Who knows what the Wade family is now? What if someone in the Wade family is unfavorable to him if he exposes himself? Therefore, it is better to keep a low profile first. So he lowered his head and said apologetically, "Mom, I'm sorry, I caused you trouble today." The mother-in-law scolded, "You are more than trouble, you are killing our family of 3. You can't be a little self-aware and get out of our house." Claire hurriedly said, "Mom, how do you talk? Charlie is your son-in-law." Bulls asterisk it. Mother-in-law said bitterly, "I don't have such a waste son-in-law. The farther you go, the better." Claire pushed Charlie, "Hurry, go to the room." Charlie nodded gratefully and fled back to the room. He and Claire had been married for 3 years, but they had never been married for 3 years in the strict sense. Claire slept on the bed and he slept on the floor next to her. This night, Charlie couldn't sleep for a long time. What happened today is really shocking. He will not be able to digest it for a while. Before going to bed, Claire said to him, "How is Aunt Lena?" "I still have more than 100,000 private money. You can take it to her tomorrow." Charlie said, "No, someone has already paid Aunt Lena and sent her to Eastcliff for treatment." "Really?" Claire said in surprise, "Aunt Lena is saved?" "Yes." Charlie said, "Aunt Lena has done good and accumulated virtue throughout her life and helped so many people. Now someone has finally repaid her." "That's good." Claire nodded and said to Charlie, "You can breathe a sigh of relief." "Yes." Claire said, "I have to go to sleep. Recently, the company has a lot of things and I'm so tired." Charlie asked, "What happened to the company?" Claire said, "The business is not very good. Grandma has always wanted to cooperate with a large company like the Emgrand Group, but the strength of the Wilson family is still much weaker and people look down on it." Charlie suddenly thought of the Emgrand Group and asked her, "The Wilson family has no cooperation with the Emgrand Group?" Claire laughed at him and said, "How can the Emgrand Group look at the Wilson family? Even Wendy's fiancé and Gerald's family are barely able to catch up with the Emgrand Group. Grandma counts on them after they get married. The White family can help the Wilson family connect with the Emgrand Group." Charlie nodded. It turned out that the Wilson family had sharpened their heads and wanted to cooperate with the Emgrand Group. However, Mrs. Wilson was afraid of dreaming and could not think of it. Emgrand Group is now his own. Thinking of this, Charlie decided to take over the Emgrand Group first, and then give Claire a little help through the Emgrand Group. She was too bullied in the Wilson family. As her husband, he had the responsibility to help her improve her status in the family. "At first, your husband is different from today. I will never let anyone look down on you again. I will make the entire Wilson family bow to you."